Yes. So, hi everyone. I know it's quite early in the morning, so we have a little less people. But all right, anyway, thank you for joining. This is Mr. Shah. He's been teaching since 9 years, IGCSE and A-level, and today he'll be taking up the business class as we have scheduled for this morning. Sir, you can start.
Okay, so good morning, students. Firstly, I know it's too early for you all to start with a subject like a business studies in the morning. But yes, exams are approaching, so you guys need to buck up. You need to revise. There are many concepts. I know business is a subject wherein you guys would be feeling that it's very easy for us to know the entire concept, very easy to take it when we are going it in a one read, but very small concepts which we usually miss out when we are reading the chapters. So I somewhere feel the textbook which I have been teaching from is the most important point wherein we can cover a lot of data from. So reading the chapters from the textbook is very useful, very important. Obviously there are many free resources available online, z notes, n number of notes what Ritik and Pranay have been sharing up on the various groups as well. There are many other students also who have been sharing the notes for business studies. So those notes as well are very important. Yes, a lot of the precise notes which will be there with you will be helping you all a day before the exam as well. I would recommend you all make the notes in a very thorough way, your own precise way. And if you all have yet not made it, then it's fine, completely okay. Most of you all, I guess, are either Feb March or the May June students. So yes, this time Feb March and the May June papers are still remaining the same. Wherein I can see there are two papers what you guys will be having this time. There is paper 1 and paper 2. So paper 1, as we all are aware about, paper 1 is your short answers and data response paper. Okay, so firstly both the papers are going to be of 1 hour and 30 minutes. So you need to be very fast, very quick in understanding the questions. Paper 1, wherein there will be small case studies with every questions being given to you. So you need to be prepared to read the case study in such a way wherein you remember each and every section of the textbook. So reading the textbook again becomes very important for you. When you are reading the textbook, split the book into different 6 sections, the way it has been split by the Cambridge board itself. And every section has its own particular criteria. So let's say, for example, if you are doing section number 3, you are aware that the questions will be asked, will be related to marketing. So this is how you break up each and every section of your particular book when you are reading. Whenever the questions are related to operations and all, so you know it's section 4, operations and management, what we are going to read about. That is how you need to be aware about where the case study which has been given to you, what exactly do they want to ask you the question about. So when you are reading the case study, the small case study of paper 1, you should be aware what exactly do they want to ask you about. So this will help you to understand and analyze the question well in advance before you start writing down the answer. So paper 1 will be of 1 hour 30 minutes. Paper 2 will also be of 1 hour 30 minutes. Both will carry equal weightage of 50-50 percentage. Okay, both of these papers will be of 80 marks. So I can rather say a 90 mark paper carrying 80 marks, a 90 minute paper carrying 80 marks as the weightage. So you need to be quite quick enough to complete the paper on time. So I would not recommend you all to be very slow when you are writing the paper. Be extremely quick. Think about it and solve as many papers as you all can before your exams come up. What we have seen over the years, what I have seen personally over the years is the level of papers have been extremely getting day by day a little difficult. So they have been trying to understand the thought process of the students based on which they are trying to analyze what all areas are left out to be asked about. So we have never seen Cambridge repeating some of the questions, but yes, concepts are more or less the same. So if you are aware about the concepts, then definitely it should be a smooth go for you. So you need to know. I know that you guys might have read the textbook, you might have read a lot of notes as well. But what happens usually is that we feel that business is a subject which goes very easy. When we are reading, we feel like, okay, yeah, so that's a common thing what we are reading all about. There is nothing a different or unique concept what we are reading. But business is a challenge when you are writing the paper because the key terms which everyone says that you need to use the key terms. Yes, it is very important. When you all are writing a paper for a ninth and a 10th grader student, when you all are writing a paper for Cambridge, when you all are going to submit the paper at Cambridge, see to it, have a vision that the papers are going to go on a very professional level, and you all are writing a paper which is a professional paper. It is not a school paper, school exam of a 7th or an 8th grader. It is a ninth and 10th, it's a board exam. So when you guys are writing a paper, see to it that you are completely thorough with it and you are doing it very well and you are completely prepared. The answers, the if you feel that if it's a 6 marker, I'll just repeat some of the other point and the examiners won't understand. No, it's not at all like that. You need to be very thorough with whatever you are writing, and everything what you write should be precise and to the question. Just to increase the length of the answer, just merely to do that, don't do that. Don't write. It won't fetch you any extra marks. Be very precise with the answers what you're writing. Okay, so there are two papers as we know, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 will be having short case studies at the end, at the beginning of every question. You need to know the definitions. Definitions are very important. Definitions are a must. Try to learn the definitions as much as possible so that you guys don't waste your time when you are writing any particular question or an answer. Try to memorize the definitions, and along with that, yes, paper 1 will be having many questions, so wherein the definitions will be a knowledge part. Every answer is defined and decided. For example, if they ask you identify any two factors, so when they say identify, you guys need to be very much understanding the question that you only have to identify it. That is only your knowledge part. So as yes, you all are aware, every answer has four parts: knowledge, application, analysis, and your evaluation. Okay. So knowledge part is your definition part. Knowledge part is your identify question. Okay. Identify and explain. If there is a question of 4 marks which states identify and explain something, so that again will be a 4 marks, wherein two questions, two reasons will be asked for you, two identifications will be asked to you, and the explanation will be asked over there. So those both the identifications and explanations will fetch you 4 marks. So your application will be for the explanation what you are giving. So you have to identify, explain, again identify and explain. It might also be state two advantages which are related directly to the case study given to you, or an advantage and a disadvantage of, let's say for example, state two advantages of a company going public. So here they have asked you a direct question. If they say state the identify and explain the two reasons for two benefits or an advantage of the companies going public, then you have to explain the advantages as well. So you need to read the question very thoroughly. You need to understand what exactly the examiner is asking you and answer up to the point. Try to answer and solve each and every question as and when you are going through it. Try not to leave like I'll just solve the two markers and the 4 markers first. I'll leave the 6 and the 8 markers for the later point. Don't do that. Go along with the case study, because when you are reading the case study, you will have a gist of the particular case study. Try to underline as many points as you can, which will actually help you to understand and to analyze what exactly has to be mentioned in the answer and what should not be left out when you're writing an answer. I know Feb March and the May June Feb March, the exams are very much nearby. What I know, the Feb March papers are now going to be, the paper 1 is on the 6th of Feb. Just when the exams start in the beginning itself, you will be having a paper, and the paper 2, which will be on again on the 18th of Feb. And I'm sure you guys won't be having the extra time at that particular point. No holidays in between to revise the entire business. So how do you go ahead? When you are reading right now itself, take out some time and highlight the important points. With the highlighter, keep on highlighting the important points, which are the only areas and the aspects which you need to cover a day before the exam. That is going to help you the most. That is how you will be able to uh, summarize yourself, and you will be able to memorize, because the more and more you try to read the content and the particular book, the textbook or your notes, that will help you much more. We always make it a point that every student coming in the class, they write down all the notes. Whenever we are providing them the notes, we make them write down the notes, because the moment you start writing, some part of that particularly gets stored in your mind that okay, yeah, this is what we had actually written over there in the textbook or in the notebook when we were writing about the particular chapters. So writing down the notes is equally very, very helpful, very important. Learn the definitions very well. The May June examiners, you guys have paper one on Friday, which is the 16th of May, and fantastic. The paper two will be on the 19th of May. So you will be having Saturday and a weekend over. So maybe you get enough time. I'm sure even after Monday there will be many papers back to back. So you would be preparing for the other subjects as well. So take time, revise, go through the various sections very carefully. Don't be in the hurry to finish everything at a point and at a go. I know reading the entire business takes a lot of time, but see to it that you cover each and every aspect. Just because you are doing business the whole day, it I know it becomes tedious, but you still need to cover up the entire business studies in a day, especially for the Fairmark students. I know that it will be a very difficult task and less than a month left out for you all, hardly 20-25 days for the Fairmark students. So I think somewhere start learning now itself. Every day see to it that at least not even if every day, every alternate day, try you take up some part of business studies as a point every day. So the paper one, if you ask me. So paper one will be having 2 markers, 4 markers, 6 markers in your paper. So the 2 markers wherein the definitions will be asked to you. The identification questions will be asked. These are the two major types of questions they might ask. They might ask you some benefit or an advantage, which you need to give them. Those are the 2 marker questions. Then there might be 4 markers wherein identify and explain has been asked to you. So the 2 markers and the 4 markers need to be answered very, very well so that you guys don't lose your marks out there. So be very, very well prepared for the 2 and the 4 markers. So on the definitions part and on the identify and explain. So these are your knowledge areas basically. How well have you prepared for the whole 2 years? That will be gauged through your 2 and the 4 markers. So the examiners are also very well aware that the 2 and the 4 markers are majorly to understand how well the child has actually prepared from the material and how well is the child prepared. Obviously, if you are having business and economics, then there are many chapters which are going to be uh, almost similar to each other. But the content, what you need to write when it comes to writing the answers, is completely different. So in economics, you cannot write more about businesses and all. So where you need to mention about some forms, and in business studies, you need not write about the economy as well. So here you need to write the concepts which are related to your business. How doing something will help a business go better. So you need to think from the point of view if you are the owner of that particular business. So what I usually do is when I make my students write the answers in the classes, I tell them that okay, whenever a particular case study is given to you, think as if that's your own business. If you are doing that particular business, then how is it going to help you, or how is that going to be an advantage to you or a disadvantage to you? So for that particular question, keep yourself to be the business and then try to understand and try to give an answer to that particular question, which will really help you to give a very good decision over it. But that will also be clear only and only if you all have done thorough reading of the textbook. Textbooks are the best. Textbooks are really very good, a very good source of material for you all. So this is how it will help you all to understand your concepts. 6 markers, the last question which is usually asked is do you think, or a discuss question. So when they ask you do you think, means they are expecting a conclusion from you all, and not exactly a conclusion but an evaluation from you all. So when they are asking for an evaluation, you need to give your own view about that particular thing. So you always start for that particular question with the definition. Definition, which is your knowledge, application analysis, and then your finally your evaluation about the particular question. Don't go too long. Keep the given space in mind. Yes, if you go 1 or 2 lines extra, that's completely fine. It will be okay because even when you're writing the answers, depending upon your handwriting, the answers might go a bit long. But see to it that you are covering the important aspect when it comes to that particular question. Because if the question is about a particular topic and you're writing about something else, so it won't fetch you marks at all. You need to stick to the question. What I've usually seen is when the child sees something related to a particular thing, and if they know that okay, yeah, I know that particular topic very well, they start thinking about that topic, ignoring the actual question what has been asked. So don't do that. Don't be in the hurry to start writing an answer. Just down whatever you want to cover up when you're writing that particular answer and cover up. Write as much as you can. But stick to the question. Don't go away from the question, too far away from the question, which will not help you. That is how you can write down your 6 markers. So somewhere most of the kids I know are aware that they might be feeling that no, we won't score full marks. 80 on 80 is no, it is impossible. No, nothing as such. I have seen many students who have been scoring good marks. Try to be the best of whatever you are doing. Whenever it comes to all the 6 sections, I would never say any section has ever been given more weightage than any other section. But yes, you if you ask me personally, yes, there are a few sections which the examiners every year have been asking questions about. So, what I've seen over the years is the questions related to the break even point. Very important. You need to know the break even diagram. The how do you find out your point of break even, the number of units at break even point, what is your contribution per unit, your how do you find out your number of break even rupees value in dollars. That is very important. They might ask those particular questions this time also, which I am thinking, I personally feel might come up this time. There are chances of questions related to marketing section. Marketing seems to be an important section which they might ask questions all about. So prepare for the marketing section as well, very well. One of the most important sections, because business is all about, if you ask me what is a business all about, every business revolves around two things. Number one is your marketing and the number two is your finance. So when I say finance, it comes to section 5 and little bit of section 6. Section 6 is mostly like in economics. What we have learned over there in section 6, in economics we learn here in section 6. So if you guys have taken economics as well, then section 6 will be really a smooth cakewalk for you, because then it will become very easy. But section 6 you guys need to know well, thoroughly. Do it well. I mean, most of the kids usually leave out the last 3 chapters of the section 6. So avoid doing that. Go through it very well. Section 3 actually carries a lot of weightage, wherein price, product, promotion, and place, all of these play a very, very important role. You need to be aware about each and everything in that particular section. Uh, Section 1 actually covers up the basics. Section 1 will be having up the basics, which will be related to all your types of businesses, what is growth, what is your stakeholders' objectives, one of the very important questions, and good question which Cambridge most of the time keeps on asking about. These are the things what you need to know. Operation management is also an important section, but section number 1, section 2, section 3 play an important role. Section 5 again is very important, wherein they keep on asking your various formulas to calculate and give your comment over it. So when the data has been given to you and they have told you to calculate the values, calculate your capital and the returns on capital employed, the gross profit margin, net profit margin, and analyze for two different firms or for a particular firm for 2 years, it is very important to read the data very well. The appendix which will be given to you. So these all section 5 and section 6 majorly form a part of paper 2. So paper 2 again there will be a case study given to you, and based on the case study they will be asking you a lot of questions which you need to be the inserts which is separately provided to you. Go through that inserts very well. You need to understand the questions what they want to ask you about. Don't be in the hurry to complete something only for the sake of completing. Take your time, read the question very well, and then go ahead with giving an answer to the particular question. Okay, so these are the major questions. If you guys are covering up the textbook, and if you have some content, some notes ready with your, I will definitely share some notes. What I personally feel are one of the best notes, which I share with along with my students in the class. I will share it with on the group, and definitely that should also be considered. But it is not that those are the best notes. There are many notes available on the groups which Ritik and Pranay have made. So on those groups, there are many content, many different resources available. So
Um,
any of them.
Hi,
Yes,
sir. Sorry to interrupt,
tell.
but if possible, can we, can we do this? I mean, can you open some sample paper or something and like just tell us on how to answer the questions or how to structure our answer and how to conclude?
Sample paper, just give me a moment.
Like, if possible, just like, how to answer each question in the exam paper, or any tips for the paper itself.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just
Sure,
open up the.
sure, sir. Till then, anyone, if you have any doubts, you can ask either in the chat box, or you can unmute, whatever you feel like. And or the paper. See, we want this to be interactive. Anyone? Okay. We have few doubts.
Okay.
So someone is asking, is there a specific format in which we have to answer the questions with? Um,
Format, as in, if you ask me, 1 second. Okay, so format, if you are writing up a 6 marker on an 8 marker, always start first with the definition. After the definition, what you have written down. So, if the question is talking about some advantage or a disadvantage, give an advantage to it. Firstly, you need to be very much sure whether you want to write an advantage to it or a disadvantage to that particular question. So, if you eventually decide that, okay, doing something is going to be an advantageous point for the particular company or someone, then for the particular business, then keep that thing in your mind, give an advantage to that particular question. So you first start with your knowledge, which is your definition to it. Second point, what you write about is the advantage of doing that particular thing. Point number three should be a disadvantage. Okay, don't write in pointers format, write it entirely in a paragraph format. Okay, so what I'm talking about right now is for the do you think question. So those particular pointers, you need to see that you are mentioning everything, the advantage, the disadvantage, and then you give your final conclusion to it. So your final evaluation, what you're writing, should your answer itself should be able to make it out that you eventually want that this thing should be an advantage and should be done. So your above answer should go in the particular pointers wherein you give your knowledge, your application analysis related to the case study given to you, and then you give your final evaluation to that particular point. That is the entire way how you have to write your answer.
so I'll keep on reading the doubts from the chat box, and you
Yes.
can answer, you know,
Yes, yes, yes,
that
sure.
way. Okay. So the next question we have is what's the most effective way to revise for business as of now? I don't think what I want to do is effective enough, because I want to start reading to understand, since I really can't answer some questions in some papers.
Okay, so what I will do is reading as of now. If your exam is in the Feb March, then definitely you don't have enough time to read the entire textbook now. I would recommend you all to go through some notes. There is one note what I'd seen was Note Minds or something. I'm not sure about the name on the CambiHub group. I will definitely share that note. That those notes are fantastic, very good notes. Go through those notes right now and start highlighting the most important aspects and most important points in those particular notes. Revise those notes a day before your exam, and I will also share a few question papers which are having the answers written for the same, which I will share it on the group. Try to read those answers, how the answers had been given to those particular points. So those papers will actually help you out to give a understanding how exactly is the examiner expecting you all to write an answer to a particular question. So that should help you out.
Okay. The next question is it fine if the answers cover all the content but remain short and crisp, or they are required to be long?
No, perfect. Even if your answer is short, maybe if the question gives you around 10 to 12 lines and you are covering up the entire whatever is actually required in around 8 to 10 lines. Now, it also depends upon your handwriting. Many times students have handwriting wherein the handwritings are extremely small, which covers the entire content which is important in around 8 to 7, 8 lines itself. Then it's completely fine. Till the time you are covering the most important aspect, what the examiner was expecting you to write about, it's completely fine. No need to fill up all the lines as well. It's okay if the answer gets over in 8 lines, 8 to 10 lines.
Okay. The next question, the paper two case study, is there any time management technique, and is there any specific topics that are mostly asked? Also, there are 12 marks. questions asking for your opinion. How are we meant to write that perfectly?
Okay. Yes, if you ask me paper two case study time management, then definitely yes, you should. I will be doing right now a paper two case study paper with you all. So that time I'll be explaining you how do you have your proper time being managed. Whereas when it comes to paper one, try to complete your two and the four markers as fast as possible, because that is what will help you with the little bit of buffer and extra time left out to think for the six markers, which will actually help you to write the six markers in a very much explainable and an evaluated way. You will have enough time to analyze and think about the six markers, and you will get a good gist of that particular question as well. So try, because you will be having 90 minutes to complete 80 marker paper. So those 90 minutes, try to make it in such a way that the initial 80 marks, out of the 80 marks, the initial two and the four markers, you try to finish as fast as possible, and the remaining questions can be done later on. The six markers, the all the six markers, you can give at least around 10 minutes for each question, so that will actually help you out. So if you save out on the time on the two and the four markers, you will get little buffer extra time to write down your six marker answers.
Okay. The next question is for the six marker questions. That is basically, do you think shall we give the advantages and disadvantages of the topic and then give our opinion in conclusion?
Yes, you are right. It all depends upon whether the question is actually asking about the advantage or disadvantage. If it is asking whether a company should go private, stay private, or go public, then you can what you can do is you can give an advantage of going private, you can give an advantage of going public, and then eventually you can give your conclusion. So you first start with your knowledge, which is your definition. Then you go on to advantage of going public, advantage of going private, and then you give your evaluation about it. What you think will be better in the given case study or in the given scenario. Whatever you feel will be better for the company, you should give your own evaluation about it.
Okay. The last question is for part E questions. I mean, after this question, we can start with the case study paper.
Yes.
So the question says for E part questions with justifications, how do we manage the advantage and disadvantage pointers? Because I end up writing all the advantages and disadvantages in the initial part of the answer, and I don't have any points left for the conclusion part of it.
Okay, so I understand. What usually happens is, if you are reading a question, always remember that if you feel something is justified or something shall be done, then you need to have a little more weightage on that particular thing to be done. Or if you feel that it should not be done, the business should not be doing certain things, then you need to have a particular extra reasoning for that. That is what I'm telling you. The more quicker you are in writing your two and the four markers, you will be left out with a little extra time to complete and to give it for the six markers. You need to think about it, because you will need one extra point to write down in the conclusion. Don't repeat the advantage what you have already given above in the conclusion again, in your evaluation, sorry, in your evaluation again, because it will just show up that you are just repeating a point which won't carry that marks. You won't get the marks for your writing down your evaluation. So if you want to score marks for the evaluation, then definitely you need to write those extra one extra point when you are writing your evaluation point. That is very important.
Okay, I think these were all the questions. Now we can
Oh,
start with the case study.
yeah. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just share the paper.
Sure.
Okay, till then, maybe I can give some of my tips what I used to do in IGCSE. So basically, for time management, I think the first paper what I used to target is 15 minutes per question, 1 5. So like that, I have time to check all the questions again, and it was a good balance. And for the long case study paper, I used to give 20 minutes to the first question, and then 15 questions followed, 15 questions for each question, part A and part B together. So it's a little fast, but I used to target like that.
Okay. Till for the time being. I mean, till sir is sharing the screen. Ritik, can you tell about some general tips you used to follow to finish? I mean, not the time management part, but how do you handle the
Mhm.
content with the paper?
So I think for paper two, the long case study paper, I used to read that case in like 5 or 6 minutes. That was my super reading target. So don't read the financial parts, When the finance question comes, that time you should read the finance part. So like as per the question goes, I used to read the case study. Maybe that's a trick to faster your reading speed.
Mhm.
And while for paper, the first paper, I think uh, it's only 3 or 4 lines what you actually have to read. So I used to do the definitions and identify first, and then go back to the case study and read for the 6 mark or 4 mark answer. So doing it a little faster is good. And application is basically 2 or 3 points taking out from case study. Mostly is your knowledge base. So complete that first and then put in the application wherever is required. If you have any more doubts, you can put it in the chat. Oh, I think sir has started sharing.
I think start with
Okay.
the because after.
We shall start now. Okay.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So your paper two, you will be given with a case study, uh, a particularly 80 mark paper, which the insert will be given to you, wherein the case study will be provided to you. For example, over here, which I have opened up right now, is a Feb March 24 paper. The case study being provided to you, along with which a few appendix being given to you, appendix 1, 2, and 3. Yes, definitely what Ritik said right now, that try to read the appendix and the financial question, the financial part of the particular case study given to you later on, so that you can directly link it with the question being asked to you. You can very well do that, 100%. And try to read and summarize the case study the first go itself when you're trying to do that, which will help you save a lot of time when you're writing your 8 markers and your 12 marker answers. So if you are reading the case study, see to it that you're underlining important points over here. Like for example, if you see it is his own business, so he's the owner, he's an entrepreneur. So and he's running an enterprise and he started 6 years ago. So which shows that he's having a bit of experience with him, which we will read ahead so we can understand what exactly is the business all about, what he is into. We can also read over here some things like he has received government support. So if you see right now in the first line itself, we could analyze and understand three important aspects out here. That the business actually over here, Mr. Sam's business, has now received the government support. It is his own business wherein he's an entrepreneur, and it's been 6 years when he started the business. So these are a few things how you need to go through each and every particular point what has been covered up, because you never know what the question might be asked to you about. So try to underline with a pencil or something, just try to highlight the points and the things whatever has been asked over there. So by the time you start writing your answer, you are aware what has been asked to you. Okay, so along with that, if you will see, there would be appendix given to you along with each and every question. Appendix 1, 2, and 3 would be given to you, which are going to be equally important for you all. Along with this, now if I open the paper, give me a moment. Okay, so here we have the paper with us. Okay, so this paper will consist of all the 8 and the 12 markers. You need to answer them. Every question will be, let's say, for example, if we see the first one, explain 4 reasons why government supports the startups of new business. So this is a direct question.
Sir,
Reason
can we
one is,
make the paper landscape so that it's visible clearly?
okay, okay, I'll do that. Sure.
Thank you.
Is it now visible?
Yes,
Yes.
now it's.
Perfect. Okay. So if you see, the first question asked over here is explain the 4 reasons why the government supports the startup of a new business. So it's a direct question. You need to understand they have not mentioned anything about the authentic food question. The case study which is given to you about right now of Mr. Sam, they have not mentioned anything over here about it. So this is a direct question wherein you need to give the 4 reasons. These reasons should be enough to give a knowledge and an application to that particular point. You need to write all the 4 reasons, and along with that a particular explanation to that particular reason why you feel the government should support a new business. So there would be 2 different types of questions. Number one, which will require you to link it to the case study given to you, the inserts, and number two, a direct question wherein they are trying to understand your knowledge and your understanding about a particular question. So when they are saying about the government support, that means why government support, that means why does the government provide subsidies or incentives to the companies or to the new startups. So that is what you need to write over here all about. The next question which comes is B. Using Appendix 1 and other information, consider how AF may be affected by the following 3 changes in the legal controls over the employment issues in country X. Which legal control will have the most effect on AF? Justify your answer. So here the best part is points would be given to you. You need to read the case study very thoroughly, which will help you to write down the answer for all the 3 points over here. All the three things need to be answered very well so that you are able to give a very well conclusion about it, and your conclusion should again be out of the above three, any one of the above three legal control, what you feel is better and what you think should the company AF be going ahead with, what you feel should be the right point for that. So that is how you would be giving a conclusion to that particular question. So, okay, over here, explain 2 benefits to AF of segmenting its market. Now, here 2 things are given to you: first benefit, second benefit. It might also be one advantage and one disadvantage of segmenting the market. So then you need to write an advantage, its explanation, disadvantage, and that disadvantage explanation. So here, if they are asking you 2 advantages or the 2 benefits, then give the benefit over here and the explanation. This explanation should contain application and analysis both. Here you need to mention application and analysis both. And here this will be your knowledge part. So that is how you will be gaining over here your total 8 marks. Out of the 8 marks, here both these would be divided into 4 marks over here and here, wherein you might get 1 mark over here, 3 marks over here for your explanation, and again 1 mark for this and 3 marks over here for your explanation. This is how the marks are usually being divided, because here you need to give an application and analysis both. That is why you might score 3 marks for this particular thing. So give your benefit to be very precise, the explanation also to the related to the case study which has been provided to you. Along with this, you have your second point, which is your using appendix 2 and other information. Consider each of the following elements of the marketing mix for AF's new meal. Would this be a suitable marketing mix for the new meal? Justify your answer. Again, 3 different types of different marketing mixes have been provided to you. You need to have a thorough understanding. If these type of questions have been asked, you need to know what do you mean by penetration pricing, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what are the different types of pricing, place, and advertising, social media, what they have given to you. You need to be aware about the again the knowledge of that particular thing. You need to read from the textbook. The more you read, the more you'll be aware about the things to be written over there. So try to read as much as possible, which will help you to answer the 3 points, and eventually you need to give a conclusion over here. Every 12 marker will expect you all to give a conclusion. Again, when you're writing this answer using appendix 2 and other information, so again, yes, they have mentioned AF over here. You need to write all the 3 points wherein you give an analysis as well. You need to give an analysis wherein you are covering the case study as well. Whatever has been given to you in the appendix 2 of the case study has to be mentioned very well out here. You cannot miss out on any of the data of appendix 2, because this question is directly related to your appendix 2 of the given case study. Okay. Okay, so then we have question 3, wherein explain 2 ways an appreciation in the exchange rate of country X might affect AF. Okay, so you first, the most important thing is you need to understand this question is talking about how things changing in country X might affect AF. So understanding the question is very important. The above which we saw, question number 1 and 2, were talking about AF. This question is not talking directly about AF, but this question indirectly talks about AF, wherein it is mentioning that if there is any change in the country X, if there is an appreciation in the exchange rate of country X, how it is going to affect AF. So what are the effects on AF because of something happening? You cannot have AF in the main highlight over here. You need to highlight the appreciation in the exchange rate. So this is again section 6. You need to write each and everything very well, and from the point of view of an appreciation in the exchange rate, and how is that affecting AF. That is how this answer will be written over here. You have to give your two ways to it, and an explanation how and why it is going to affect AF, whether it's export, if it is into exporting, and is it going to affect its exports or imports, might the imports become expensive for him, or what exactly will happen if the appreciation in the exchange rate of country X is happening. Okay, so you need to understand, you need to read again the case study very very thoroughly. So when you are reading the how well have you understood the case study, when you read it, how will you understand is, when you are reading this type of question, you will understand from the case study itself. While reading the case study itself, you should have understood that this question is somewhere going to ask me something about exchange rates. Whatever it is, appreciation, depreciation, that is another part, but something related to exchange rate will be mentioned in one of the questions. If that actually struck you when you were reading the case study, that means you have read the case study very well. And I would recommend for this to solve at least 5 years past papers, Feb, March, May, June, October, November, a mix of all of these papers. Try to solve as much as you all can, which will actually help you all to understand and to answer each and every question out here. The next question, consider the following two ways AF could increase the output in its factory, which would be the best way to use. So yes, again over here there are only two ways and a recommendation being asked to you. Here you need to go a little more in deep when you are giving your analysis and application, because there are only two ways being asked. Above when we saw the question, there were three ways being asked, the three methods being asked. Here there are only two, and you need to give a conclusion of any one out of them. So you need to go a little bit in depth in both of these, and then you need to give your own recommendation about it, what he should be doing. Obviously, when you're writing these two, try to give a little more of weightage on one of the parts. So if an examiner is checking or he's reading it, when he's reading the points, let's say investing in new technology and buying more of their existing equipment. So when he's reading, let's say if a student is of the viewpoint that investing in the new technology is much better, and I want to mention that in my recommendation that yes, the company should invest in more technology or more new technology, then the explanation given out here itself should be worth enough and enough for the examiner to understand what the recommendation might have been given by the student. So that is how it will help the examiner to have a focus towards what you want to mention about when you're writing your answer. This will itself help the examiner to understand. Explain to advantage and disadvantage of AF using retained profit as a source of finance for their investment in the factory. See again here, advantage, disadvantage. Two advantages and two disadvantages are clearly given to you. So every advantage and disadvantage will carry two marks each, wherein you will be giving retained profit. Okay, so if they are talking about retained profit as a source of finance, then you need to give the advantage and disadvantage of using the retained profits. Okay, if he's using his retained profit, then what would be the advantage to him not paying any interest out of that? He's using his own money. And whatever would be the disadvantage, you need to mention them. You can add up opportunity cost also in some kind of questions. Little bit of economical terms, a few, very few economic terms, if you're adding up, it is completely fine. It won't harm it. Using Appendix 3 and other information, consider the advantage and disadvantage of the two new meals AF could choose to produce. Which meal should AF choose? Justify your answer using suitable calculations. Okay, so now when they say suitable calculation, you need to show all your calculations. Here they might ask you your contribution, EBIT, the maybe your you need to find out your contribution, or you need to find out your break even point, whatever the appendix has mentioned the data about. So you need to mention those points as well very very clearly over here when you are writing about your suitable calculations. You need to show your calculations, or you can directly give the answers of your calculations, and you need to give an idea about what that calculation actually means. Okay, that will be very important over here, and you eventually give your recommendation. So 12 markers are actually really going to play an important role for you all. I know it becomes difficult when you are writing your 12 markers, but now you guys need to start writing down as much as possible. Try to write down the 12 markers if you all want. I will be sharing a few papers for which we have written down the answers. The students have written the answers and where they have got really good marks. So I'll be sharing those answers also with you all. And along with that, if you guys are writing down any question answers, share it with me. I'll definitely be checking them whenever possible, and I'll definitely get back to you. So I'm Mayusha from Concept Academy, and we have been providing coaching in Mumbai and online as well. You can definitely vouch on us and get back to us with whatever queries you have. I am also a part of the CambiHub group, and you can message me whenever possible. You can directly either message on the group or on my personal messages as well. No problem. I'll definitely get back to you for all your doubts. Handing
All
over
right.
to
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, sir, for joining today, taking your time out. All right. Thank you so much. We'll end the meeting here. And we have classes scheduled as per time. Please join those. And thank you, sir, once again. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Right. And have registered for the on the registration form. In case you don't have not received any